in your environment, you'll have different settings for the database name, for example, and you might have different names for credentials to some stuff. And for this, I'm using something that I saw the first time in Laravel application, which is like an environment file. So I demonstrated this shortly before. So I have my env.json file in here. So in here, I've specified variables that will differ from the environments. So for example, if I set up a live server, these credentials won't be the same at my local host as it is on the live server, for example. And also, I don't want to check in credentials to the open source project that is like my database password and username and stuff. So I've git ignored it, and I put an example file that you can just rename with your own credentials. So if you put this on a live server, you have to, of course, create a different env.json that specifies the environment. And so I suggest you use this file to implement your stuff as well, not just the stuff that's currently located here. And if you want to see how it's used, you can look in the database schema. So in here, I just require it as any other module, and I use the get environment, and then I get a JavaScript object in here. And if we look at this file, v1 helpers environment, we end up in this file. And you can see that there are two functions in here, get environment and get environment async. And it just reads from a file. So if you want to use the async method, you can use that, or you can use the synchronous method. I'm at most times using just a synchronous method because it's easier without a lot of callbacks, and it really doesn't take a lot of time to read in. So what I do is I basically just read in the JSON file in here, and then I parse it from JSON, so I get a proper object that I can use. And in the schema.js in the database folder, I'm using it to get the entire object. And from that object, I use the env.database.mongodb.name. So if we look at the env JSON, I use the database, my Mongo, and then my DB name to get the name of my MongoDB database. So you can put other stuff in here also. If you have, for example, a password for MongoDB, you can put it in here or something. And application name or something if you want to show. I suggest you should also switch from this token to some other random gibberish so you don't have the same token in your applications. So that's how that's done, and it's pretty basic, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.